Hey, Colorado Springs, Chris Lopez here, and we've got another deal analysis coming your way in our new format where we have a guest come on the show and fill out the spreadsheet live with us to talk numbers and talk the deal. And of course, I got my co-host, Jenny Bayless. Jenny, good morning.
Good morning, Chris. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. Beautiful day out.
So set this deal up for us. Give us the two, three, four sentence what we're about to talk about and see here.
Yeah, so this is a three bed, two bath, one car garage condo on the east side of town. Is beautifully renovated and it's just, I think it's a great turnkey rental property example. And I'm really excited to talk to Braden about it.
Yes, and Braden is our guest and also the investor on here. So, Braden Sanderson, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are y'all? Appreciate y'all bringing me on.
Of course. This is going to be fun. So, kind of just, before we jump into the deal here and start talking numbers, rewind it a few steps and tell us, kind of who you are, your background, and what led you up into investing in this property.
Sure. So just a bit about myself. Definitely a newer investor here. This is my first property in the Springs, first rental in Colorado. Kind of got started out of state, and then also dabbled a little bit in live-in flips here. Currently live in one still, which will probably play into financing later at this one. But yeah, that's the brief overview of my short career here in real estate investing.
All right. What out of state market do you invest in?
Yeah, so back home, I call it home, not where I grew up, but where I went to school in Texas, a little college town there. Lubbock, Texas is where I got started.
Okay. So then, I'm assuming Texas probably pretty good cash flow down there.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's a lot different from what you see here along the Front Range. Obviously, just the barrier to entry prices are a bit cheaper, but 1% rule is definitely a thing there. So yeah, it's a different market, more of a cash flow market. Definitely don't see the appreciation that you see here though.
So is the appreciation component what made you attracted you to the Springs?
Yeah, there are really two things. One, so I live in Denver and I've taken part of the appreciation over the couple of years, and it's really hard to ignore what's been going on here in Colorado the last couple of years. So that was a part of it. I also wanted to, invest a little closer to home. I thought I would, need to be more hands-on. Honestly, when I started looking here, I thought I'd be going the Burr approach. I just kind of thought that was my only option. Definitely didn't want to do that out of state. So those are the couple of things that led me to looking closer to home here.
Okay. So we're going to transition over the spreadsheet. So podcast listeners, we will do our best to tell you all the numbers, but if you want to see the full details, check it out on YouTube. It's also in our show notes as well. So 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom condo. What part of Springs is it in?
So it's on the southeast side of town. It's pretty close to the airport and Peterson. So good part of town.
And were you targeting that area in particular or just like total Springs market, anywhere in the Springs?
This was first one, so I was looking kind of all over, and I didn't have a great feel for, where the hot spots were. But Jenny helped me out with those, and ultimately, after seeing the area and learning more about it, I'm happy with where we're at.
Yeah, there's a lot of development going on over by the airport. I'm sure everyone's heard me talk about that before, but yeah, I'm pretty optimistic about that side of town for sure.
So this is an investment property, and this was a condo. So what was the down payment on here?
So yeah, this was actually a good learning point for me here. I was under the I guess naive assumption that condo and a townhome are the same thing in terms of financing, and I was hoping to put 15 or 20% down on this one. Found out later along in the deal that we had to go 25% down, which ultimately is it works out great. It just ends up being a little more cash flow on the back end, but yeah, ended up going 25% down here.
Yeah, and that's a great thing. It's a nuanced thing in lending. Condos, I always assume 25% down, and then townhomes and single family homes you can do as low as 15% down. But condos, just always underwrite 25% down. So purchase price. Getting the purchase price, before we talk about that, talk to me about the property hunt. The market is tough right now is about the nicest word I can put on there.
Right.
So what was it like getting this property?
Oddly enough, this one was pretty easy and straightforward. I think when we found out we got this one under contract, Jenny and I both were pleasantly surprised. Subsequently, after this one, we've been looking for number 2 here, and I think we've put out 5 or 6 offers, but under contract on another one after this. But it took a lot more work getting to it. This one, we put in one offer. I think there is one thing that kind of helped us out with this. This property was under contract once already and fell out of contract. So I don't know if we had the best, most competitive offer the second go around, but it was strong enough that the seller ended up going with us.
Yeah, something that the listing agent mentioned on the phone was that he really liked Braden's financing package. Strong down payment. I'm assuming we were probably up against some owner occupants with lower down payments. And then just the fact that he was pre-approved through a reputable lender, that really helped us, I think.
And so did you actually have like a backup offer, or is this just something you kept your eye on and when it came back out, you jumped on it?
I think when I saw it, it was after it had already fallen out of contract and was on the market the second time. I didn't know, I guess, until we started talking with the listing agent, that it had already fallen out of contract once.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So what was it listed at? And kind of walk us through, because I know there was some negotiation on here and some stuff. So list price, under contract price, and walk us through the contract process.
Sure. So list price was $240. We offered $250, no appraisal gap. Yes, no appraisal gap. And then come to find out, it did not appraise. It appraised at $241, and that's ultimately where we ended up on purchase price.
Wow. So they reduced the price down to $241?
Yep.
They did.
Well, that's phenomenal. So we'll do $241. And so that was the appraisal financing side. Now, one of the first steps we do when we go under contract is the inspection and due diligence. What was that process like, and what popped up? Because something always does.
So for this one, it is relatively newly renovated. I think it might have even been flipped. I think it was purchased several months before we bought it. So it's relatively clean, renovated. The one thing that we actually planned to object to on the inspection was the furnace. I believe it was original, and it was having some issues, and it was just time to go. So that was the plan. And then obviously it didn't appraise, and kind of the deal we made there was we'll come in at, appraisal price, and we'll take care of the furnace ourselves.
Well, it still works in your favor. I mean, I don't think it's a $9,000 furnace in a condo, right?
No, certainly not.
So have you replaced that furnace yet, or are you waiting for later this year?
We did. We got it replaced right after we could get our hands on it. So
What did that cost you?
$3,580 is what we put into that.
All right, so I'm going to put that here in the initial repair cost for the furnace. Going back up to acquisition costs. So you got through the inspection, got through the appraisal, you negotiated it. You're planning on 25% down, but there's always other costs with real estate. Not cheap to transact in. What was the ballpark acquisition cost?
So what I have in there, just from the upfront estimate, is $4,000.
Perfect. And we had no seller credit, so all in between down payment, acquisition cost, furnace replacement, about $69,000?
Yep.
Great. And what was your interest rate on here? Or what is your interest rate on here?
So we ended up at 3.375, 30-year term.
375. Great. 30-year fixed, right?
Correct.
All right, so 25% down payment, 30-year fixed, 3 3/8, and rental income. Was it tenant occupied when you bought it? Was it vacant?
So it was vacant when we bought it. We actually have lease starting actually April 1st here. Tenants are moving in from out of state. They're military, and we're happy with what happened there. So I was running the numbers kind of at 1550 when we're initially looking at this, and then once we actually got it under contract or got it, time to get listed to rent, we threw it out there for 16 just to kind of see what would happen. But we also knew there were two other units in the same complex that were not anywhere near shape as this one was. They were not well taken care of, and they were, I believe, listed at 15 and 1550. So we threw it out there for 16 and got it, and got what we think are great tenants. So we're happy with that.
Great. So you pushed the rents, you got it. Now, when you were underwriting the property, a month ago, were you ballparking 1600 or were you more in that 15 range?
Yeah, I was looking at 15. So 16 is really, we'll take it.
Oh, yeah.
We're happy with that extra $100 a month.
Hey, when the surprises come out pleasantly and in your favor, we'll take those when we can get them.
Certainly.
Jenny, what did you think about pushing the rents on this? Because I know you're very good at rent analysis, Jenny, and I know you're also very conservative. So what was your thoughts on the rents?
Yeah, I mean, 1500 was what I thought, and my thought is let's try to be a little bit aggressive when we actually go to list it for rent, but let's underwrite it at the conservative figure, and so it always ends up working out pleasantly for people, I think.
So let me know if these numbers work for you. 3% vacancy, 3% annual rent increase, 5% appreciation, and we'll just keep the tax rates at 25% for simplicity. Kind of our standard stuff. You guys are good with that?
Yep.
So I got
Great. And property management, are you self-managing or do you have a property manager?
So we are self-managing.
All right, so we'll select that to no. And how many times have you driven down the property?
I've been down there at least 2 and maybe a third time now.
Oh.
And that's it. Yeah,
It's not bad. And you're in Centennial, right?
correct. We're
So
on
what's the drive time?
It's still a good hour. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So that's still very, very reasonable. Okay, so an hour drive to self-manage. What's your reserve percentage?
I've got 5% in there. We'll kind of see how that plays out. It is newly renovated, but and it's a condo, so they help maintain the outside, but sticking with 5% right now and kind of see how that plays out.
Great. So there is an HOA. What's the monthly HOA?
Yep, 165.
All right. And I know most HOAs in Colorado are pretty standard. Any quirks or things about this HOA that they don't cover or do anything, or is it pretty just run of the mill?
Honestly, this is my first go around with an HOA, so I'm learning a bit here as well. I think the only kind of hiccup was just trying to figure out who to contact from the get-go and who the right person to get on the phone was to make sure we have everything documented and they have what they need, that sort of thing. Other than that, pretty straightforward from what I can tell.
Good. Real estate taxes.
700.
Your insurance?
610 is what we have there.
That seems high to me for condos.
That seems to be what they go down here for.
Really?
I don't know if we just have more, stuff going on down here. I'm not sure.
Okay.
But yeah.
Maybe I just have a really cruddy policy up here too. 'Cause my condos are in like the $400 range. So utilities, I'm assuming HOA tenant pays for all the stuff?
Correct. Yep.
All right. Any other fees or things we need to account for here?
No, that's really it.
All right. So we'll go over the cash flow tab here. I'm going to save the spreadsheet before I forget. All right. So you're about $69,000 all in with down payment, closing cost, replacing the furnace. you'll be at about a $19,200 expected annual rent income. Subtract out vacancy, annual expenses, everything. That's going to be around $5,000 for all that. Leaves you a net operating income of $14,400. Less your mortgage payment of about $800 a month or $9,500 a year is a cash flow of $4,800 a year. Wow. I expected that to be lower on the inputs. This is great.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming
we were talking
you're happy with this,
about
right?
appreciation earlier.
Sorry, what'd you say?
I think I cut you off and then I lost you there for a second. So I guess I owe you a bottle of whiskey. What were you saying?
No, no. I think we just spoke. I was saying like I was expecting the cash flow to be lower. I mean, this is a great number, so I'm assuming you got to be a very happy investor.
I am, yeah. I mean that comes out right at $400 a month. I would say that's higher than what I expected. Obviously higher than what I was, initially running the numbers on. Part of that too is putting 25% down. I think that was a $50 a month swing there. But yeah, pleasantly surprised. I can't argue with $400 a month there. Obviously we're self-managing as well. But yeah, we're happy with this, first rental here in the Springs.
That's great. So that gives you a 6.9% cash-on-cash return and a 5.9% cap rate. So great numbers. I just want to do one thing because I'm going to actually come back here and say yes to property management. Leave that 10% as a good default. That makes it cash flow $2,900 a year, a 4.1% cash on cash, and a 5.1% cap rate. And these are both still great numbers, including the PM fee. Because I'm assuming you will eventually hire a property manager, right?
Right. I won't do this forever. Yeah, no.
All right, so I'm going to switch it back to no PM to keep it to your original numbers here, Braden. Both all of this stuff, I mean, that expected first-year return on investment is going to be around 32% between appreciation, cash flow, tax depreciation benefits, and debt paydown. So, I mean, that's just a great return on the investment.
Definitely, yep.
So, Jenny, Braden, any kind of final thoughts about this deal before we wrap up to a few other questions?
I don't think so. I mean, I think this is just a really solid rental property that I think it was a great option.
I think so too. So, Braden, you're due to live and flip. You closed on this. You're hunting for number 2 right now. You got some stuff down in Texas. What's kind of the future plans 3 months out, 3 years out, kind of the more medium-term plans?
Sure. So I guess the main goal here is I'm in acquisition mode. I'm still new at this, but trying just to acquire properties however I can. The live and flip that we're living in now, we refinanced and pulled cash out, and that's how we got the down payment for this one. And then actually under contract on number 2 here in the Springs. And then that, the cash from the refinance on our live and flip to help with that one as well. So, yeah, other than that, I think probably for the next couple, we'll look back south in Texas. A couple reasons. One, it's just like I said earlier, it's a little cheaper market. It's also more of a cash flow market
down there.
So, yeah, I mean, you can pick up a nice 3.2, anywhere from that 150 to 250 range. I think my first deal there kind of ruined me a little bit. We got a 4-bed, 3-bath for 160, and it rents for 2,000. So,
whoa.
It was a good deal. Property taxes are quite a bit higher there. It's also a college town, so you get to deal with college kids, which there's good and bad with that. But
have you put in the industrial carpet yet?
Are you talking LVT or?
Well, yeah, I mean LVT. I remember from the people they do LVT, and they're like, we put industrial carpet in our college rentals. Like literally, like actually, that heavy duty carpet.
Really? I'll have to look into it. This is actually original hardwood, so
Oh, wow. Okay.
it's working so far. Yeah.
So going back to Texas for your future plans, I mean, obviously a big benefit there is a lower purchase price. And I interrupted you there. What was the second reason you were about to say?
I think too, and Jenny kind of mentioned this outside of the podcast earlier, but just I like having the options, right? I like being able to play in two markets, one more of an appreciation market and one more of a cash flow market. It just gives me that optionality to bounce between the two. And, if properties appraise enough here and I've got equity in properties, I can pull that out, take it down to Texas and boost my immediate return doing it that way. So it just gives me, a few more options playing around with my portfolio here.
Great. And then something else I want to make sure I mention, because I wrote a big note on the top of my notes here, is that you're a contributor in our 2021 Colorado real estate investing book that's coming out May or so of 2021. So thank you, first off, for doing that. And hopefully we have you back on to talk about deal number 2, talk about your strategy more in depth, because this is fun stuff to talk about. And also, Braden, what's a great way for people to get a hold of you? People have been locked down for the last year of the pandemic. The podcast is a great way to network, connect people. How can people connect with you? And are there any types of people or services that you're looking for that hopefully the power of the podcast can connect you with?
Yeah, probably the best way to contact me is just phone or email. I'm not big on social media. I do have a LinkedIn account. That's probably the only one that I kind of stay up to date on, but phone or email, I'd be happy to talk. I love talking real estate with anybody who shares the same kind of interests that I do. So
great, and we'll put all those in the show notes to make it easy for everyone. Your email, your phone number, and your LinkedIn profile. Awesome. Well, Jenny, got any final thoughts here as we wrap up?
No, it's just it was awesome working with you on this one. I'm excited that we're working together again on property number 2 that we're currently in negotiations for. So fingers crossed on that. And yeah, on to more.
Definitely.
So Braden, what's the sneak peek at number 2? I know you're under contract, but just what's the property type and Bed Bath layout?
Oh, I'm scared to say because we did have property 2 under contract once already, and that one fell out of contract. We ended up walking away actually, but this is it's a 2-1. It's kind of by the other military institution over there, Fort Carson, but it's a smaller property. It's in a good area. We're kind of working through some inspection issues on this one at this time, but I'm hopeful it'll work out.
Great. Well, Braden, we appreciate you coming out so much, man. So thank you, and we'll definitely have you on a future podcast. So thanks a lot.
Perfect. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Hey, bye everyone. Have a great day.